right, so now you're really excited. You've got this new way you're going to teach. You've set up, how you're going to deliver it, how you're going to um, track the students. You're going to let students go further, right? You're really excited about this new way of teaching and taking back face-to-face time, right? So you've been doing that all of yourself. The kids that you're getting now, they don't know that you've changed things. Okay, so you're going to start the year off, okay, with um, an introduction to how different it's going to be, because it's not only a different way to teach, the kids have to have a different mindset as well. So there's some example activities that I do that you can also do. So here's day one, typically what I do. So my do now for when I get kids for the first time is going to be asking them what the difference between equal and fair is. And you let them think about it for themselves for about 1 minute. So no talking for 1 minute. Okay. Then you can do 2 minutes of, peer to peer talking, and then bring them for a whole group discussion. And eventually what you want to find, what you want them to understand, okay, is that equal means giving everyone the same thing. And that fair is giving everyone what they need. And you can kind of guide them there. They're going to use examples usually to come up with some things that are fair but not equal, or equal but not fair. And so this is good. So you can kind of guide them to the understanding that equal can be giving everyone the same thing. And then fair, right, is giving everyone what they need. So what we've been doing in teaching in the past is being equal, okay, giving everybody the same thing, and then we've been differentiating here or there, right? So like little Johnny needs this a little bit easier, so we're going to give him that a little bit easier, so it's a little bit more fair. So now we're, instead of being equal and then a little bit fair, we're kind of switching it to now we're just being completely fair. Okay, so that's the principle that you are, the mindset that you want the kids to be in, and you want yourself to be in. Okay, so you want to explain that the class is based on that principle, that they're going to be treated equally. Okay, but their math content will be treated as fair. Right, so like discipline wise, things like that, that's all going to be equal. But the content will be fair. Okay, content's going to be what they need, how fast they're going. So that can be really where your face-to-face time looks different, right? Because you could be sitting with someone that's, really struggling for a whole week. You could be giving a lot of attention to that person and not much attention to the person that's kind of cruising along. Obviously, you don't want to give them zero attention. You want to check in every now and then, but really the focus of your attention is going to be on the kids that are struggling. And that's not equal attention, right? But that is fair attention, because those other kids need you more. So you've adjusted your face-to-face time now to being fair. So after that, I show this image on the board. So you've probably seen this image, the zone of proximal development. So in the middle, we have students can do an assignment independently, right? So that's like, it's easy for them right here, right? It's easy. Then we have, as we move towards the outside, they can do it if they're guided, right? So if you're kind of sitting with them and helping them a little bit, then they can do it. So that means it's a little bit harder. And then the very outside circle, we have can't do even if guided. So even if there's assistance, they still can't do it. And so it's kind of like easy, medium, and then hard, right? And we know that if we leave a kid alone out here, right, where it's really hard and they can't do even if they have help, they're going to get too stressed out. Okay. And then this is where like that math anxiety, that fear is, because nobody wants to be here and sometimes they're left there. Okay. And when they're left there and the teacher doesn't help them, it just compounds that anxiety. Okay. So we never want to leave kids right there. Can do if guided. This is like the kind of on your own questions that you give kids. Just like check for understanding questions, right? And then you guide them through that. And then this is can do independently. This is like what you want them to do to practice on their own, right? Just kind of easy, um, easy, medium, and then hard. And we know that the best learning occurs when we're right here, right? So we're pushing the students from can do if guided to can't do even if guided, right? So that the outer edge of this circle where um, they're not so stressed out that they can't get anything done, and it's not so easy for them, right? That they're not learning. We want them to be right here so that they are practicing and that they have to do some persistence, right, and perseverance through problems. So that's just the zone of proximal development, and you want to try to um, explain that to kids, okay, that you don't want to leave them here, okay, and you don't want to leave them here, you want them to be right here, okay. So you're going to explain that to the kids as you show this image. Go back here. Then you're going to have the kids take a sticky note and you're going to have them put up where they felt they were in sixth grade math, okay. So but they find it easy, medium, and hard, or hard, right? So depending, you can word this differently, obviously, with the circles. You could put easy, then medium, and then hard. That's kind of up to you. But it's still going to be kind of a zone of proximal development. And you give kids a sticky note, and they can write their name on it if they want. It's usually best if they do, so you can collect it. And they're going to put their sticky note on here. And what you'll find is usually you'll have like one out here, one over here, one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, one here, right? They're kind of all over the place. Okay. Um, and that's good because it again leads us to the conversation where you ask them what do they notice. Okay. And you want to get them to realize that um, all of those sticky notes are at different places. And that's because in math or in whatever topic that you're talking about, or that you're teaching, um, they're all on a different spot in their understanding. Okay. And so that your goal as a teacher is to meet them at where they put the sticky note, okay, and get them more comfortable. Okay. So they need to recognize that everyone learns differently. So you have to treat them differently. Okay. So you can meet their needs and so that the content that you're delivering is more fair. So that's kind of, you need to get them in that new frame set. Okay, that's how you spend your first, 25 minutes. And this is based on a 50-minute class period. Then you want to kind of go through your classroom outline. So this is however you run your classroom. You kind of do the typical, this is your turn-in box, this is your out box, however you want to, do your classroom norms, as they say. Then you want to show them how you are delivering your content. So this can be through Seesaw if you're in the younger ages. It can be through those other materials that I mentioned in the previous videos. You can use Google Classroom. You can use a personal website. So this would be my personal website where I'd have them go for 7th grade math, and then give them kind of this template here, right, of where they're going. And then for mine, this template, they have like operations with integers. If they're on this lesson, they can click the link and then it goes there. So right now that kind of goes to the Google site, but you can also just have them go here, right? If they're on operations with integers, and you have it kind of all set up for them. How I break it down is just a review, notes, and practice. The notes are right here. If there's any resources like handouts to go with them, they're right here, and that way kids can access them at home. And then I also include a relearning part. So right now that's just like Khan Academy, but what it could be is if you find another YouTube video that you think explains it better, or maybe you're using a YouTube video here and you want to do a relearning for your own video, you can put it here. And then sometimes there's an enrichment. And that can be just like a performance task, something a little more difficult than the practices that they can do instead. So you kind of want to explain that, and that can be, again, this is my personal website, and this is the school website, which is basically set up the same way. Just at the school that I'm at, they prefer doing Google Sites. Okay, so then you go through those items. Your unit timeline. Okay, so that is kind of what we were showing here, what I talked about in the previous videos. Right, this timeline here of how the whole class is run throughout the year, and you front loaded everything. Or if you're just doing this for a unit, you can show them that this is the unit, this is how you're presenting your material, and that this is where they should go and finish within this deadline, this unit between February and March. Okay, so at this point you're really just showing them how to access the materials, right? So then you have the unit timeline, goal calendar, right? And then I usually, when I make a goal calendar for them, I'll use Google Sites, and I'll start with recommended goals, right? So like September, there's no school on the 2nd for 2019. Then on Tuesday, I put lesson 1, adding integer notes. Okay. Then on Wednesday, I put lesson 1, adding integer notes, finish. There's a lesson 1, adding integers, practice. Okay, so however you feel you want to move kids, so you can either make these really fast or you can make them really easy. That's up to you. It's just for them to get an understanding of what your expectation is, and then what they will do is they'll go in and you'll tell them, okay, so starting next week or starting September 2nd, when we get on Tuesday, you're going to be filling out each of these days. You can either retype what I gave you as a recommended goal, or you can create your own. And you'll just let them know that as they keep going, they'll get used to understanding how quickly they can do the videos. And you can show them the document of the unit timeline if you've made this, and you can say how many days you expect it to take, so they can take a look at that too when they fill out their goals. I like this document because it gives them a checkbox here, and so you have that as a template as well. But again, you're just showing recommended goals, have a unit test on September 20th, and then you go to the next lesson, right? This was a field trip here, right? And then in October, they're going to start doing their own lessons, because at that point, they'll probably be at a different spot. So last year, I had them write a goal for the next day and talk about setting realistic goals. So what do you want to get done for tomorrow? Right, so actually, I'm going to change that. And then you can let the students kind of browse all the materials you gave them. So I have it online. I also print out the goal calendar if they want to write it in instead of typing it into Google Classroom or Seesaw or whatever you're using. So I will give them a copy of a calendar, give them a copy of the timeline so they can check things off, and then I'll give them a copy of the kind of larger picture here so that they have everything. So some of them like to check it off here or cross it out, and that's fine. They don't have to use everything, but as long as you give them everything. If they have a binder, I usually have them put their goal calendar in the front, because their warm up every day is going to be to um, check their goal for the day. Or if it's the beginning of the week, it's um, to write their goals for that week. And then day 2, you can choose an icebreaker activity to do. And then what you want to do is you want to pre-test them, because you know now that they are all at different spots, right? So if we go back to this zone of proximal development, things that they can do independently, they're going to be able to show you that on their pretest. So you probably, right, if we just take a look at 7th grade math, let's say they already know how to add integers and they showed you that on the pretest. You could probably have them skip the review and the notes video, and they can just do the practice. Now that's really up to you, because if you feel like your notes video is more of a conceptual understanding and they have given you a more procedural approach, then you can still have them watch the video. You can say, oh, I know you understand how to add integers. I just want to show you how to do it with integer chips. Make sure you understand that method. Okay, so it's really up to you, but you want to know where everyone is, because now you have kids that are here, you've got kids that are here, and you've got kids that are here with different topics. Okay, so once you grade those, and you really want to grade those real fast, as quick as you can. So you can either give the test just on the first unit, or you can give them kind of a final exam that you would give at the end of the year. And you can include stuff from the previous year as well, if you think that you have kids that need to review further back. So you'll give them that pretest, you'll figure out where they all are, and then you can tell them where to start. Okay, so as they're making their goals, you can go up to little Johnny and say, okay, you understood lesson 1 and lesson 2, so I'm going to put you on lesson 3. Okay, you could also just write that on their pretest as feedback if you want. Okay, just say lesson 2. You could also organize your pretest to say these are lesson 1 questions, lesson 2 questions, lesson 3 questions. Once you get to the point where they're guessing, okay, that's stuff that you can leave out. Okay, or you can say, a lot of kids will take a pretest and they'll say, I don't know how to do any of this. And some teachers will say, well, just guess. Okay? That's not really the point of a pretest. You don't want them to guess, because that doesn't give you an accurate representation of what they know. So you don't know if it's going to be a guess or not. So you really don't want them to guess. You want them to cross it out or whatever. So when you grade those tests, you give them back. That's where they're going to start. And then for our school, we have summer work activities. So then after their pretest, they can spend some time going over their summer work activity. So this is just an example of the first 2 days. I also want to give parents a welcome letter at the beginning of the year to let them understand how different it is. And that welcome letter, I gave you an example of that on Google Classroom. And you can either have them get their parents to sign it, or you can just send it home with them. You can include that as an assignment for you. It can be one of their goals if you want. But you want to make sure the parents understand that it's different. And you definitely want to have that letter ready at parent-teacher conferences, or anytime you're doing a big parent welcome, you want to have that letter available, because those parents are going to have questions because it's so different. They're either going to really like it, or they're going to say, I know my kid's not going to work that way. And you can kind of just explain to them that it's new. You really want to try it, and that if it doesn't work, the benefit of doing this for other people is that you have face-to-face time that's now adjustable, and that you can sit with them and teach them, their kid the old-fashioned way. So it's actually, even if they don't like getting instruction through a video, it gives you more independent time with that student. So it's more of a personal approach, and they don't have to get instruction from a video. They can get instruction from a teacher by that teacher sitting right next to them. So you kind of have to explain that sometimes to parents. So there'll be a lot of questions. if this is their first time in a flipped learning environment. You can always say that this is something you've wanted to try and that you think it's going to benefit your students, and then lead into whether you're doing it for a unit or the whole year or one lesson, just however you are expecting things to go or however you are going to plan on doing it. But we want to reassure the parents that you think this is the best use of the student's time and class time. Okay, so you are reclaiming that face-to-face time, and you can include that in your welcome letter as well. So again, those are the first 2 days. You can arrange them however you wish. If you don't have 50-minute periods, if you are an elementary teacher, you have them all year. You can do these as little tiny mini lessons for them getting started. That's up to you, but I know some people want a place to start, so there's an example. Bye for now.